Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. A man sexually harassed a woman in India's IT capital, Bengaluru. This horrible act has been captured on CCTV. Now look at the visuals there. The police have registered an FIR under several sections of the law, but if you look at the visuals there, two women walking through a narrow road when a man who was seemingly following them catches them unawares, corners them and gropes one of these women before fleeing the scene. This is what the CCTV images have shown us, and they've been circulated widely on social media. What has outraged people is also the way the Home Minister has reacted to this incident. Home Minister of Karnataka, G. Parameshwara, he has said that these incidents tend to happen in a big city like Bengaluru, and that whatever legal action needs to be taken will be done in accordance with the law. He also said that he has instructed the police commissioner to increase beat patrolling. Now, this is not just a mundane response, but also one that trivializes crimes against women. When we talk about women reclaiming public spaces, this happened in a public space. It has to start with those in power recognizing the right of women to claim public spaces, ensuring that there are systems that facilitate that. Better patrolling or brightly lit street lights are not a favor done to women. It's one way of preventing crimes, and by saying that such things happen in big cities, we are only telling women, our daughters, to prepare for the worst, which is not fair on them and extremely wrong on our part. And also, where is the data on how many women get harassed on streets? Because NCRB data only records those with FIRs. So if we talk about problems, we also need to talk about solutions. And also, we need to talk about a mindset that drives society towards change. And that is what we will do tonight. Joining us now is Surabhi Hodigare, who's a spokesperson BJP Karnataka. We have Brinda Adike, social and women activist. We have Sanjana Galrani, who's an actor. And we also have Asad Abbas, who's a political analyst. He supports the Congress. We have NS Napine, senior advocate, Supreme Court. Thank you all of you for joining me on this panel. Surabhi, I'd like to come to you first. Now, this is a government that talks about providing free bus transport to women. How do you see such a non-serious response to a crime like this?
I appreciate your opening comments, Vasudha. I think that it's, what you said is absolutely true. The fact that we must be speaking solutions, and if people in power make such callous statements, it really puts the cause, many, many years behind. From a political party perspective, this is something that we have been screaming on the top of our voices about this Home Minister for years now. This is not the first time he's made such an irresponsible statement. In 2017, when an incident took place against a woman, he made similar statements that were condemned by union ministers, then union ministers, as well as now Kiran Rijiju and Rajnath Singh. The question that I beg to ask is, when the Congress knows that this is the mindset that its Home Minister has, why repeatedly give him that responsibility? And just, in a tad bit, I'd like to address this matter that he says that this happens every now and then in a big city. Excuse me, sir, this happens every single day in Bengaluru. The crime rate has significantly increased. We've had a major incident just in this year, in 2025. January, we saw a woman being raped in KR Market. In February, we saw gang rape happening very close to BTM layout in Koramangala. In March, we saw a crime where a 59-year-old woman was raped and murdered, inspired by a movie. In April, there are two such cases. Just today, there are two such cases coming in. This does not happen every now and then. This happens regularly in a big city, a growing city like Bengaluru. And when a leader speaks this way, it puts the cause of women and women in public spaces many, many, many years behind. He is an irresponsible Home Minister. We have been saying this from the time, the Neha Hiremat case happened, or when he completely diminished the seriousness of the Nagamangala incident or the incident that happened in Hubballi. This is not a serious Home Minister. Not only should he take back this statement, but he should do 10 times more to ensure that women of Bengaluru are safe. Okay. From a policy perspective, and I know you have a big panel today, from a policy perspective, I want to say this, that today we are speaking and, coming to know of these incidents because there are public CCTV cameras that have been installed across cities. But the number of such incidents are significantly going up because Bengaluru is a growing city. Our population density has increased, and therefore the crime rate under a government that is not serious about crime has significantly increased as well.
Okay. Asad Abbas, as somebody who has supported the Congress, you're a political analyst, clearly words matter, and please don't tell me that, the intent was not there. He's somebody who believes in work, and, the word should not be taken out of context, because language is where we sort of prove our intent, and language is the first part, the starting point to acknowledge that women have equal rights to public spaces. Clearly, the words that he used could have been different, isn't it?
Vasudha-ji, I will definitely agree with you on the front that yes, certainly, be it the Bengaluru city or the state of Karnataka, the public spaces must and should be, for a city like Bengaluru, a lot more safe, a lot more responsible, and a lot more protected and guarded. And I tell you today with full responsibility, being a son to a mother, being a brother to a sister, and I have 2 young daughters myself. Now, coming straight to this point, it's unfortunate, it's absolutely unfortunate how this is being politicized. And I'll tell you why. Firstly, what did Dr. G. Parmeshwar, the Home Minister of Karnataka, say? He immediately called up the police commissioner and he said that the patrolling should happen in every area in a disciplined and effective way. Solution 1. Solution 2. Action as per law needs to be taken. Beat system has to be made very effective. That is the reason why he immediately directed the police commissioner on the same front. And also, let me tell you, now let me speak on behalf of the Karnataka police. One of the finest police that we have in our country today is Karnataka police. They're working round the clock, ignoring rain and cold. Not just that, if there is peace in Bengaluru, one of the reasons is the Karnataka police. Now, let me address the bull by its horns. It's unfortunate that the Bharatiya Janata Party today, as we speak, Vasudha-ji, is politicizing this matter. I'll tell you why. While I was preparing and researching for your debate, I came across a news. 23 men gang raped a 19-year-old woman in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is a state ruled by Bharatiya Janata Party. The Karnataka BJP spokesperson will keep mum about it. My question today as a political analyst is, why are we keeping quiet about that incident? Be it the Bengaluru molestation incident, be it the incident in UP, or being across. All the respective politicians are accountable today. My question is, I took the NCRB reports, the National Crime Records Bureau, and I saw that the Bharatiya Janata Party has given tickets to the most number of people is Bharatiya Janata Party with serious criminal cases against women. My question to the BJP is,
Sir, would you like to quickly respond to this before I go to the other guests?
Why do you give tickets to men who have serious criminal cases against women?
Okay.
Can the BJP spokesperson answer today?
Yes, Surbi.
I checked in, I don't want to make this into a political slugfest, but I checked in before this panelist to see if the Congress is going to be represented. The fact that the Congress is not even here, the government in power does not even have representation, is first and foremost a very sad matter. The de facto Congress spokesperson here speaking and saying that they are politicizing the crimes in every part of this country need to be called out with utmost seriousness. But if I point one finger at the Congress government, don't point 4 fingers back at me. Talk to me about what the Congress government here is doing. The words that the Home Minister used today need to be condemned in absolute full force. I do not go back and forth on this.
Okay.
Because it shows mentality.
Okay. I'll come to you, Asad Abbas. Sanjana Galrani, as an actor, as somebody who has lived in Bengaluru, how do you see the city? This is also a city where young women come to make their lives and careers. So, this is also a city that deserves to be safe because women deserve that safety. How do you look at, these statements that come from people in power? What does this do to women like us, who are looking forward to building a life in a city like Bengaluru?
I look at Bangalore as a city in a very emotional manner. I look at it from my heart and my soul because I'm so connected to this city. I'm born and brought up here, and this city is something which really stands by women, really grows women, and gives opportunities to women relentlessly. Of you're a woman or a man, you still get the opportunity to make it in life. I come from a very small family, and I'm here in front of you. Just because the city is full of opportunities. But these kind of incidents is really ruining the reputation of our city. And I look at this as a problem in the entire country and not just in Bangalore. Let's not compete. Bangalore's like this, Chennai's like this, Delhi is the worst. I think the law and order, the grassroots problem is the law and order. If something like this happens, take him and cut off his hands within a week or 10 days of the forensic, so that there's an instant law that is applied, so that the entire country is sanitized in the way they look at women, in the way they look at a girl child, a boy child. Child molesters are all, really punished very brutally. This is a Indian problem. This is not a Bangalore problem, or this is not a BJP problem, or this is not a Congress problem. For heaven's sake, if something like, why does something like this not happen in Saudi Arabia? Why does something like this not happen in Dubai? They don't even look into the eyes of a woman. They'll be like, who wants to get into this problem? If she complains about me, I'm really done and dusted. I'll have to probably be crucified or be hung, or some part of my body will get cut, or which part of the body they attack also, right? What I'm talking about, if in case they're having wrong intentions towards a woman or try to molest her or something like that, that man is done. So something as aggressive as that, a law has to come in our country. I'm really tired of seeing this, that this state this happened, this state this happened. And let me tell you, out of 100 cases, only 3 or 4 come into the limelight. Remaining 95, 96% of the women, of the children who go through this, they sulk with this particular pain, agony and suffocation in themselves until death. That something like this happened to me and I couldn't speak up for myself. I couldn't stand up for myself. I couldn't tell anybody about it, because people will come and slut shame me that it happened to you because you were in that position,
right,
and the woman will be blamed. It's really disgusting. This is a countrywide problem and it needs to be acknowledged legally, and there's a new amendment of law which is required so that it is implicated, and this harassment that women or children of any gender who are going through this has to completely stop from the grassroots level.
That's a very beautiful point that you've made. Before I go to Napinai, Brinda Adige, as an activist, one thing here that I recognize is also this lack of analysis of data on crimes against women in public places. If you look at NCRB, it provides statistics on crimes against women where an FIR is filed at the national level. The data does not, of course, contain a separate category on crimes against women in public places. It also does not include all those incidents that go unreported. So, what happens to these incidents like groping and sexual harassment on the streets, which is something that all of us have faced at some point? What happens to these incidents? Do they even get recorded? And what is the legal way to handle something like this? Brinda ma'am, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Before I answer your question, I think we must place on record that politicians and elected representatives across India do not prioritize security and safety of women and children. And we have seen other politicians and elected representatives and ministers make equally callous and uncouth responses and statements where women and sexual harassment is concerned. So it is not that there is, like the other panelists pointed out, a Congress, BJP or any other party. Everybody has to take responsibility for making these kind of statements that undermine a woman's agency, that undermine the right of a woman as a citizen. Now that said, you asked a question about the data. After BNS has come in, even over there, we've not found any kind of a progressive rephrasing of these crimes. And if that kind of a rephrasing is not there, or there is no addition to the crimes that are being committed, because after the Justice Verma committee, it is no longer eve teasing. These are called sexual harassment, sexual assault on the street. Police don't take it seriously, 1. 2, even if the police do take it seriously, by the time the case comes up in court, it is a tedious, cumbersome process. One of the panelists also mentioned that Bangalore, often women come here because they have come on jobs and because of work. And that said, how many times can a woman take off or a holiday and go to court? There is no way to file FIRs via email. Even if you file a FIR via email, you know that we have to go to the police station to put down our statement. That itself takes 7-8 hours. Any one FIR does not get done in 1 hour, no matter what the citizens' charters talk about it. Okay. Then the case goes to the court. That takes another 10-8 months. And after that, it comes for deposition, easily 4-5 years. Women don't have that kind of time.
Absolutely.
And once the case comes before the court, you have courts and judges making almost nonsensical statements and giving orders that are not even in line with protection of our rights or upholding of our dignity.
Right.
So all these people have to be held accountable.
Okay.
There is no fast track court for swift and certain
Okay, Ms.
punishment.
Nabila, you're talking about courts here. Some days ago, we did see this very significant judgment by the Supreme Court of India to stay the Allahabad High Court order that, in some ways very outrageously ruled inappropriate touching of a minor and said that, this does not really amount to attempted rape. In fact, if you look at the judgment, it looked at preparatory stage and, it was very inappropriate. How do you see the response of court when it comes to the crimes against women? Do we need more laws? Do we need better implementation? Where are the loopholes and what needs to be improved here?
It's actually a very long road that we are facing, because when you look at the BNS, what the government said when they enacted BNS was that they are actually giving fillip to offences against women and children, and that's why a separate chapter was created and moved forward also. But, and if you look at, let's just take 74 for instance, which is what the Karnataka police have invoked in this case, it carries a minimum sentence, not just a maximum sentence. The implication of a minimum sentence is that if you're found guilty, you will be punished for a minimum of 1 year and a maximum of 5 years. So you have a more stringent punishment also for these offences. And yet, you see these kind of instances are recurring again and again. I'm saying it in a very different way from what the minister is saying. The way I'm saying it is, it's important for people in positions of responsibility, because they're not in positions of power, they are in positions of responsibility, and it's critical for them to understand that yes, crimes keep happening. Yes, offences against women and children keep recurring. But that is not something that's meant to be normalized or trivialized. It's meant to be addressed, and addressed in an effective way. So you talked about solution also, Vasudha, and not just about the problem statement.
Yeah.
We have heard enough about the problem statement. Now let's talk about solutions. Can law alone be the only solution? It's already been pointed out that yes, there are a lot of issues and concerns. We need to be able to speed up the process to ensure that a culprit will understand that he is going to face the consequences for his actions, and very soon.
Yes.
It's not something that he's going to face after he turns into a grandfather, right? But there is another aspect which I thought I should highlight in this show particularly. A parent once told me that now it's time for laws to start percolating down to schools. So if I'm telling you about 74 and a minimum sentence and maximum, etc., a child who may think wrong needs to know before they commit a crime what a crime is and what will happen if they commit a crime and what are their rights also. So both ways. So if we start instilling this issue about duties and rights, about right and wrong, not just in a moral sense but in a legal sense, I think that's a little critical now, and we may need to also relook our education system for people to understand that, you can't just take advantage of an opportunity like this. It is not right and it is a crime. And I mean,
Right.
this just shocks one's conscience.
Absolutely.
Every one of us feels violated when we look at something like this.
So one thing
It's
that you
not-
said
it's
is very
not
important, that
visible
we
inside.
cannot normalize or trivialize crime. So to be, some days ago, Women's Commission also urged a high-level inquiry against what CT Ravi said against Lakshmi Hebalkar. We all know that this is a state that has been repeatedly talking about honey trapping allegations. Is there something that the BJP is doing to assure women that it is capable of pushing a mindset in the Karnataka society that is deeply respectful of women, much better than what the Congress party is doing?
I completely appreciate the comments of Brindadika and ma'am and MS Nipani ma'am. I think there are some fantastic solutions that they spoke about, and I'm happy to rally that to my party as well. But I'd like to say one thing, that look, we need to have more women in decision-making power. We need to have more women who are able to look at these crimes and say, this is not something that you just brush off. If there's one big commitment that's come from the Bharatiya Janata Party, it is that we have committed to having more women in decision-making and positions of power through the passing of the Women's Reservation Bill. I know that's a very large level sort of explanation, but I think that's something that I'm incredibly proud of. More women, better decision-making for women. The second thing that I want to say is, yes, we've had some really unfortunate sort of comments, incidents, as well as this honey trapping saga go on here in Karnataka. As the opposition party, as the principal opposition party, here's what we would expect from the Congress and what we will also promise when we come to power, right? Which is that such statements reflect a mentality amongst a generation, or I wouldn't only want to say generation, a certain set of people who thought that these are things that you can say in public. Condemnation, I think that's where it starts from. Being able to say that what the Home Minister said today is absolutely wrong. This is something that my party has done in the past. This is something that we hope that the Congress does very strongly in this case. And that's what I hope this entire panel also agrees on, which is that the minute somebody says something like this, we have to say, hey, it's not okay for you to say that, especially somebody in that position of responsibility. The Congress, unfortunately, as I mentioned in the very beginning, is a repeat offender. Let's not even speak about the Congress. I'm not going to politicize this in any way. But G. Parameshwar, the Home Minister, has made this statement twice as the Home Minister in that position. He has made a similar statement in 2017. He has made a similar statement today. So there is something fundamentally wrong in the way he's thinking. There's something fundamentally wrong in amongst his colleagues if they're not condemning it, if they're not saying that this is not okay to say.
Okay.
I want to just take a step back and say that amongst the different things that the Prime Minister's government has done, the attribution that no politician truly cares about women or women's safety, I think is very wrongly said. Having better public spaces like across the country, but specifically at the Sabarmati riverfront, ensuring that investigation tracking system for sexual offences is put into play, ensuring better investigation after, of course, the FIR.
Okay, Asad Abbas, you heard Surabhi also out. If Congress party is promising income support for women, in almost every state that it's campaigning, it's also promising free bus transport for women. And on the other hand, if you have ministers who normalize or trivialize crimes like this, don't you think that there's a contradiction in that approach?
Largely, since we are now speaking on politics, I think the Congress party, be it Gruha Lakshmi, Gruha Jyoti, Nari Shakti, so on and so forth, has done a lot more for women than the Bharatiya Janata Party cumulatively has done during their chief minister's tenure. And it's very interesting that the BJP spokesperson speaks of reform and women representation. Respected ma'am, you are in power today. Why don't you bring in the women reservation? 33% of women. I feel so proud, Vasudha ji, that I'm on a panel which is all women. Why can't we have until
your party
women
was not able
are
to do
not
that
there
for
in the parliament,
more than
33% of women, what
Please.
will happen to that? Ma'am, I did not interrupt you. Please do not interrupt. Thank you very much. Until and unless we make policies, reforms that have more women representation in assemblies,
okay, so more
in
women
the parliament,
representation
this
is the
will
key
not
forward.
change. Also,
Sanjana, your closing remarks, what is that one thing about Bengaluru that you feel is the best for women, and what is that one thing that you feel needs to change, especially in your experiences in the last few years?
I want to use your large, respectful platform, NDTV India, and tell all the women, please be safe. Right now, I'm myself feeling a bit helpless, and it's easy to blame people that this happened because of the government, this happened because of the cops. The cops are really doing their best in our city to keep how much ever peace and cleanliness when it comes to such incidences. But still, few unfortunate incidences are happening. Please don't go out alone. I know this is not the solution. I know we all want to be free. I'm the most liberated woman you can ever meet. But please don't go out alone in challenging hours. Don't go out alone in isolated streets in challenging hours, midnights or whatever. Even if you're professionally born to go out because you're working in a night shift or something like that, be careful. Take your safety precautions.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a chain snatching happening there, phone snatching happening there, or sexual assault which is happening there in that video.
Okay,
but I definitely don't want one
Absolutely,
of you
that's a very
to be
important
in that.
point. Brinda Adige,
Please take care of yourselves.
Yes. How do we ensure that these incidents of violence that spark public anger don't fade away too quickly from public memory? What is that one thing that makes us understand that, women have equal rights to public spaces, and all of us need to facilitate that?
We have to increase street lighting and ensure that there is lighting in every street and corner. And police patrolling cannot happen just in Hoysalas and on their motorbikes. There should be foot patrolling also. And all of this patrolling will not help if there is no neighborhood watch committees and communities that are participating in taking care of such safety measures. Because police alone will not be able to handle all of these things. And yes,
Ms. Napina,
education was mentioned, but we also want responsible statements from elected representatives so that perpetrators are not emboldened
That's it.
by
Closing
such
remarks
trivial
from you,
statements.
Napine ma'am, very quickly.
There's so many thoughts that are crowding my head, but all I would want to close out with is, one, the law has to work. We need more victim-centric approach to the implementation of law, and we have to show that law actually can work for the victims and can bring the perpetrators to book.
Right. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Despite stringent laws, women remain far from feeling safe in most public spaces. We talked about the Bengaluru incident recently. Administrative bodies hence must ensure that streets, like our panelist also pointed out, need to be well lit. And police are also trained to handle cases of sexual harassment in public spaces effectively. All vacancies of law enforcement agencies need to be promptly filled. But what needs to be a necessary starting point is also recognizing, understanding, accepting that women have equal rights to live and move freely, claim public spaces without fear, and working towards that. With that, it's a wrap on the show. More news and updates on the other side.